forests, rivers, and the quiet pulse of ancient magic. In the eastern lands of Ionia, that magic breathed like a living thing. It flowed through petals drifting on the wind and hummed in the roots of towering trees. And in one hidden grove, beneath the silver light of a full moon, a child with 9 snowy tails opened her eyes for the first time. She was not born as humans are born. She emerged from magic itself, woven from longing, instinct, and something older than memory. The Vastaya tribes would later whisper of her kind, calling them the Visani, fox spirits who walked between the world of beasts and the world of mortals. But the child did not know names. She only knew sensation. The warmth of moonlight on her fur, the scent of moss, the tremor of distant heartbeats. Ahri. The name would come later, for now she was hunger and curiosity wrapped in silk-white fur. She grew among foxes at first, chasing dragonflies through the brush and leaping between stones slick with rain. Yet she was different. She could feel things the others could not. When a rabbit trembled before her pounce, she felt its fear brush against her mind like a cold wind. When an old fox lay dying beneath a fallen cedar, she sensed not only its fading breath, but the gentle unraveling of something luminous inside it. That glow fascinated her. One evening, as the sun bled orange into the horizon, Ahri approached the old fox's still body. The glow lingered, flickering like a dying ember. Without understanding why, she reached toward it, not with her paw, but with something deeper. The ember flowed into her. It was warmth. It was memory. It was the echo of running through tall grass and the comfort of sleeping in a den during a storm. It filled her with sweetness and sorrow. When it faded, the body was only fur and bone. Ahri staggered back, startled. She had taken something sacred, but she was no monster then. She was simply a creature discovering her nature. Years passed, and the forests of Ionia began to change. Humans pushed deeper into the wilds, building villages where once only deer wandered. Ahri watched from the shadows, her curiosity growing stronger than her caution. Humans were strange creatures. They sang. They argued. They dreamed in ways that pulsed like lantern light. Their emotions were brighter than any animal's. The first time she approached a human settlement, she took on a shape more pleasing to their eyes. Magic shimmered around her, fur dissolving into flowing hair, paws into slender hands. She stepped into the lantern-lit streets as a young woman with fox-red eyes and 9 tails swaying behind her like living silk. The villagers gasped. Some saw a spirit, some saw a demon, some saw beauty. Ahri saw hearts. They beat loudly in her ears, each thrum carrying desire, fear, hope. She drifted among them like a dream. When a lonely traveler locked eyes with her, she felt his yearning, a quiet ache for connection. She smiled, and with that smile she brushed against his mind. Charm, they would later call it. To Ahri, it was simply touch. The traveler followed her beyond the lantern glow into the whispering woods. She did not intend harm. She only wanted to understand the brightness within him. When she reached deeper, drawing his essence into herself, she felt his life unfold in a cascade of images. Childhood laughter, a sister's embrace, dreams of distant cities. It was intoxicating, and then it was gone. The traveler collapsed, empty. His body cooled against the forest floor. Ahri stood over him, trembling. This glow was richer than any fox's. It lingered within her, whispering memories she had never lived. She could taste human emotion now. Love, regret, ambition. It made her feel more alive than ever before. But when she looked at the still form at her feet, something twisted in her chest. She had taken too much. Word spread through Ionia of a fox spirit who stole souls with a kiss. Hunters searched the woods with torches and blades, etched with runes. Priests prayed to the first lands for protection, and yet Ahri returned again and again, drawn by the brilliance of human essence. Each time she told herself she would take less. Each time she failed. With every soul she consumed, fragments of humanity lodged inside her. She began to dream in languages she had never learned. She felt guilt, an emotion foreign to beasts. She mourned the faces of those she had drained, remembering their lives as clearly as her own. She was becoming something new, not fully human, not fully spirit. Loneliness crept into her heart like winter frost. One night, while wandering near a remote Ionian temple, Ahri encountered a monk meditating beneath cherry blossoms. He did not flinch at her presence. His eyes, calm and knowing, met hers without fear. "You carry many voices," he said softly. She froze. No one had ever spoken to her that way. "I carry hunger," she replied. The monk smiled faintly. Hunger can be guided. For the first time, Ahri did not reach for a soul. She sat beside him and listened. He spoke of balance, the harmony between spirit and mortal realms that defined Ionia. He told her that power without restraint unravels both the wielder and the world. She confessed what she was. "I kill," she whispered. "I cannot help it." The monk considered her carefully. "Perhaps you cannot yet, but you can choose to try." For months she returned to the temple. The monk taught her to meditate, to observe the tide of emotions without drowning in them. He taught her that essence could be drawn gently, leaving the source alive. It was difficult, agonizing even. Her instincts screamed for fullness, for the rush of consuming a soul entirely. But she learned When she fed, she sipped rather than devoured. She left her victims dazed, not dead. It did not satisfy her hunger as completely, but it eased the guilt that had begun to define her. Then came the war. From across the sea, the empire of Noxus descended upon Ionia. Steel clashed against spirit. Forests burned. The balance shattered. Ahri felt it like a wound in the land itself. Soldiers marched through her forests, fear and aggression blazing in their hearts. She could have fed endlessly in such chaos. Instead, she found herself drawn to the suffering of her homeland. She watched Ionian defenders fall. She felt their fading essence scatter into the soil. Something inside her broke. The monk who had guided her was among the slain. When Ahri found his body pierced by Noxian blades, the glow of his life was already dim. She knelt beside him, tears sliding down her cheeks. Tears born of memories she had stolen from others, yet now undeniably her own. She did not consume his soul. She let it return to the land. In that moment, Ahri made a choice. She would no longer be ruled by hunger alone. She would seek understanding of herself, of the memories within her, of the fragile humanity she had gathered piece by piece. After the war, she wandered beyond Ionia's borders. She traveled through ruined villages and distant cities, always searching for clues about her origins. Ancient texts spoke of the Visani, fox spirits born from collective longing. Some claimed they were guardians, others called them predators shaped by the desires of mortals. Ahri wondered, was she created to feed, or to reflect humanity back at itself? In forgotten libraries, she uncovered tales of a Vastayan tribe long extinct, hunted for their power to manipulate memory and essence. Perhaps she was the last of them. Perhaps her loneliness was not accidental, but inevitable. She began to use her abilities differently. When she encountered those burdened by unbearable grief, she sometimes drew out the sharpest edge of their pain, absorbing it into herself. It did not erase their memories, but it softened them. In doing so, she tasted sorrow without causing death. Yet the hunger never vanished entirely. There were nights when instinct overpowered discipline. Nights when she charmed a cruel warlord or a corrupt merchant and drained them dry. She justified these acts as justice. But deep down she knew the line between necessity and indulgence was thin. Ahri became a myth across lands. In taverns from Ionia to distant shores, travelers spoke of a nine-tailed woman whose kiss could steal a lifetime. Some stories painted her as a demon, others as a tragic spirit seeking redemption. None truly knew her, and perhaps she did not fully know herself. gazing at her reflection. Was the woman staring back truly Ahri, or merely a mosaic of stolen lives? One evening, beneath a sky streaked with violet dusk, she felt a familiar pull, an echo of ancient magic calling from deep within Ionia. She followed it to a hidden glade untouched by war. At its center stood a stone altar carved with symbols older than memory. As she approached, her tails shimmered with light. Visions flooded her mind, fox spirits dancing beneath moonlight, Visani elders teaching balance, a catastrophe that scattered her people like leaves in a storm. She saw herself, not as a solitary predator, but as part of a lineage meant to guide emotional currents, not drown in them. The altar pulsed once, then fell silent. Ahri fell to her knees, overwhelmed. She was not a mistake. She was a remnant, a guardian who had forgotten her purpose. From that day forward, her path shifted. She no longer wandered aimlessly. She sought out places where magic frayed and emotions ran wild. Battlefields, grieving towns, courts thick with deceit. She moved like a whisper, unseen yet ever present. Sometimes she punished those whose cruelty poisoned entire communities. Sometimes she offered solace, drawing out anguish so others could breathe again. Always she struggled, for Ahri is neither saint nor demon. She is hunger wrapped in compassion, memory shaped by loss. She carries within her the echoes of every soul she has touched, each one a reminder of what she could become if she surrendered to instinct entirely. In the vast tapestry of Runi Terra, champions rise and fall, empires burn, new wars ignite, and somewhere beneath the moonlight of Ionia's forests, a nine-tailed fox walks the line between predator and protector. She is still learning what it means to be human. She is still learning what it means to be herself. She is Ahri. Beneath the twilight canopy of Ionia, where spirit and mortal realms brush against one another like silk, there is an old story whispered by wind through the trees. It tells of a fox who learned to wear a woman's face, and of a woman who feared the beast within her heart. Ahri was not born in the way mortals understand birth. She awakened, formed from wild magic that pooled deep within Ionian forests. 9 white tails unfurled behind her like drifting clouds, and the world greeted her not with words, but with feeling. The land pulsed with emotion. Roots hummed with patience. Rivers carried laughter. The air trembled with the quiet fear of prey. From her earliest days, Ahri sensed something others could not. Essence. Every living thing carried a luminous thread, a fragment of spirit that shimmered just beyond sight. She did not know what it meant, only that it called to her. When she first consumed a fading spark from a dying creature, she felt warmth spread through her like sunrise. It was not merely sustenance, it was memory. She tasted the creature's final thoughts, its simplest joys. thrilled and unsettled her. She was more than an animal, yet not fully something else. Humans soon drew her attention. Their emotions burned brighter than torches against the night. Love, ambition, jealousy, longing, each feeling pulsed like a beacon. Curious, Ahri shaped herself into a form they would welcome. A woman of ethereal beauty, foxfire dancing faintly around her fingertips. She walked among villages as a living dream. A glance from her could still a racing heart. A whisper could unravel resolve. When she touched a mortal's mind, she felt their desires unfold like petals. But the hunger within her was merciless. The first time she drained a human completely, she did not anticipate the emptiness that followed. Yes, the essence filled her with intoxicating clarity, countless memories crashing into her own, but the body left behind was cold. She had not meant to destroy, yet destruction followed her like a shadow. With every soul she consumed, Ahri changed. She began to speak in languages she had never learned. She wept at tragedies she had never witnessed. She laughed at jokes told in distant childhoods. Humanity seeped into her spirit until she no longer knew where she ended and others began. Loneliness deepened. She feared connection, for connection fed her hunger. Still, she could not resist approaching those whose emotions flared brightly. She became a rumor throughout Ionia, a fox spirit who charmed men and left only silence in her wake. One evening, as petals drifted through a temple courtyard, a blind Ionian seer sensed her presence. "You are divided," he said calmly, "predator and penitent." Ahri did not deny it. The seer spoke of balance, the sacred equilibrium that defined Ionia. He taught her to meditate upon the tide of emotion rather than drown in it. Under his quiet guidance, she learned to draw only fragments of essence. It was harder than battle. It meant living with hunger. It meant restraint. For a time, she believed she was mastering herself. Then war came from the west. Soldiers of Noxus marched upon Ionia, bringing fire and iron. The land screamed. Fear and fury burned brighter than any feast she had known. She could have devoured endlessly in such chaos. Instead, she witnessed devastation. Villages fell, spirits fractured. The seer who had counseled her was struck down defending sacred ground. When Ahri found him, fading beneath shattered stone, she felt his essence trembling. He reached toward her, not in fear, but in understanding. Ahri could have consumed him and preserved his memories forever within herself. Instead, she let his spirit dissolve into the earth. She chose grief over indulgence. The choice changed her. After the invasion waned, Ahri wandered beyond familiar forests. She searched for traces of her kind and uncovered fragments of ancient lore. The Visani, fox spirits born to guide emotions' flow, not dominate it. Once they had served as bridges between realms, tempering mortal excess and soothing spiritual storms. Had she fallen from that purpose, or had she never been taught it? Determined to redefine herself, Ahri began using her gifts differently. In grieving towns, she eased unbearable sorrow by drawing out its sharpest edge. In courts riddled with corruption, she exposed hidden malice by unraveling deceitful hearts. At times, when cruelty ran too deep, she allowed herself to become a weapon. Yet even then she felt the tension between justice and appetite. Within her mind, 1,000 borrowed lives murmured. She often stood before still water, searching her reflection for truth. Was she the sum of stolen memories, or something beyond them? One night, guided by instinct older than thought, Ahri returned to a forgotten Ionian grove. There she felt ancient magic stirring, a reminder of who she had once been. Visions shimmered before her, fox spirits dancing beneath moonlight, guiding mortal hearts away from despair and excess. Guardians, not gluttons. Ahri understood then that she was neither holy monster nor holy savior. She was choice embodied. Every life she touched offered a crossroads. Consume or comfort, dominate or guide. Across Runeterra, stories of the nine-tailed fox endure. Some curse her name, others pray for her appearance in their darkest hour. She moves like a wisp through moonlit forests and crowded streets alike, forever balancing instinct against compassion. And though hunger still whispers in her blood, Ahri walks forward with deliberate steps, no longer merely seeking to feed, but striving to become worthy of the humanity she has carried within her.